Buyers, this is major, so I want to make sure that you are paying attention. You may have to begin to pay your buyer's agent directly out of your own pocket. Let's talk about it. I'm Shaheedah Hill, getting you over the hill to home ownership and helping you confidently buy your first home. I've done videos before about how your buyer's agent gets paid, and it's still the case, but there are some changes and they're going to affect you probably in the near future. So, how a buyer's agent gets paid in the past or traditionally is that whoever the listing agent is, they've made a contract with that seller for a certain amount of commission. And let's just, for a number's sake, let's say 6%. They're under contract to get paid 6% if they find a buyer for that seller's house. If they cannot find their own buyer for that house, and a buyer comes to them already represented by an agent, they agree to share that 6% with the other agent. And that's how your agent gets paid. And they don't have to split it 50-50. They could offer them 2%. They offer them 4%. It's whatever they want to offer of their commission. But that seller is going to pay, is already under contract with that listing agent to pay them a set commission amount. Now, here's where it's going to possibly change, and it's not definite, but there's a major lawsuit, a class action lawsuit brought against the National Association of Realtors, saying this is an unfair trade practice because a seller sued or began this lawsuit basically saying they're paying higher commission amounts in order to pay the buyer's agent. So, for example, they wouldn't have to pay 6% if that amount wasn't being split with two agents. Why doesn't the buyer's agent just pay their buyer directly? And this lawsuit has not been settled yet. The Department of Justice is in on this lawsuit. They have tried to reach a settlement to make everything fair. One of the proposals is that all real estate commissions be made public, so you know exactly what that seller is offering to pay your buyer's agent. Now, this is how you come in and how it may impact you. And it's always been the case when your buyer's brokerage agreement, it says how your agent is going to be paid. And a lot of times they're paid by the seller. But what if the seller says, guess what? I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to pay your agent. I want you to pay it yourself. And that's what in Georgia, our buyer's brokerage agreements have changed, and what's changed about them has been pretty drastic. It basically says you would owe whatever commission that we put in the contract. So say I put, you owe me 3%, and the only way you wouldn't owe me 3% is if that seller or the listing agent has some commission that I would get from them. So for example, if they're offering 3%, you don't owe anything. But what if they're not offering 3%? What if they're offering 1%? What if they're offering 0? That remaining balance becomes your responsibility. So I have a lot of tips for you because I know this is huge. And the reason I don't like this, especially for first-time home buyers, they don't have much money. If they're already especially in this market, they're already paying their all of their closing costs, they're paying their down payment, and now they're going to pay their buyer's agent directly as well. This could hurt a lot of people financially, and then they'll turn around and go directly to the seller's agent. And the problem with that is then you're not represented, because a lot of states don't even offer dual agency. You become the customer and that seller is the client. And it's very difficult. Even if dual agency, meaning you represent both parties, even if that's allowed, there's always going to be somebody on the losing end of that, because you cannot advocate for a seller and a buyer and be equally fair. There's really no way to do it unless you're like disclosing everything. Somebody's going to be on the losing end of that. Okay. So I think right now you just need to, number one, be mindful of it. You need to be mindful that agents may, especially buyer's agents, they may start to change some of their policies and procedures. I have to reevaluate because I've never charged a fee to my buyers directly. So I need to reevaluate that as well to see. And what's going to happen, we've been talking about this, my brokerages, other brokerages have been talking about this. Your agent may have to tell you for every house, this one's offering 1%, this one's offering 3%, because what is not what shouldn't happen is that agents don't show you homes that are offering a lower commission rate. So say a house is offering 1%. A lot of the iBuyers, Open Door, Zillow were, and this is, they're in the lawsuit too, they would offer lower commissions to the buyer's agent. And guess what buyer's agents would do? Well, we're not showing that house because I can't make as much money from that house than I can that house. So they still may show it to you, and they're not supposed to do that. However, that was happening in the industry. They would pass over those listings, or they're going to have to say to you, guess what? They're only offering 1%. I'm under contract to get paid 3%. Just know for this house, you would owe me 2%. So you understand how it gets a little bit tricky, with so many, there's not that much inventory right now, but with so much going on, and you see maybe, 4 or 5 houses in a day, it'd be like, okay, if you buy this house, you owe me 2%. If you buy this house, you owe me nothing. And you really don't want the commission to be part of your buying decision. You really want to be able to make a decision without having to worry about how much extra you have to pay your agent based on what house you choose. But it may come a time where you pay your buyer's agent directly and the seller pays their agent directly, and there's no sharing of commission. So it's an ongoing lawsuit. It has not been settled or decided. So I just want to make you aware of this because I think a lot of brokerages are trying to get ahead of this to make sure that it's very clear who's paying what as far as commission. And I don't want you to be surprised by it. You have to, so it's really in your best interest a lot of times to make sure, because a lot of you are scared to sign the buyer's brokerage agreement. Number one, if you don't sign the buyer's brokerage agreement, that agent you're not a client of that agent. You're a customer of theirs, and there's different obligations to you as a customer than as a client. There's no legal relationship between the two of you unless you have a buyer's brokerage agreement. There's just a licensee, like as a licensed professional, there are some rules I have when I'm dealing with the public or customers, but you haven't become a client. I don't have a fiduciary responsibility to you, okay? And that's very important. That means I have to do everything in your best interest if you're my client. Okay, so I want you, number one, when you're looking at the buyer's brokerage agreement, you really need to understand what you are signing. If you do not agree with it, do not sign it. You don't want to get under contract on a house and that agent saying, well, you owe me another $5,000, especially if you know you cannot afford it with the other fees. People are paying above appraisal right now. People are paying all of their closing costs. So this is an additional fee that you don't want to be stuck with. So be very, very careful. I think agents are going to be very creative with this. I see some listing agents pulling back on the commission that they're offering, and a lot of this has to do with the market. It's a seller's market, so they know they can get away with, because there's not a lot of inventory, listing agents can get away with offering a little bit less commission because they know, well, you don't have a lot of choices out here in the market. You're gonna, even if it's only offering 2%, guess what? You're coming to buy it. So just number one, be mindful. Make sure you understand your buyer's brokerage agreement. Make sure you know what you're signing, who has to pay what happens if the agent is not getting their full percent. And I'm using 3%. However, everything is negotiable. It doesn't have to be a percentage. It could be a flat rate. You can say, I want to pay you $2,000. I want to pay you $3,000. I want to pay you 10%. It's all negotiable. There's no set commission amount. However, be mindful, nobody's going to take you all around town for $500 if that's all they're going to make, because the time, especially in a seller's market, the time that's required, if we bill by the hour, some people wouldn't be getting paid anything for how many homes they have to show, the negotiations, the phone calls, the closings, the back and forth, all of that. And if it falls through, guess what? They don't get anything. So I see there'll be a lot more administrative fees maybe up front to buyers, where you have to pay your agent something up front because there's going to be some uncertainty perhaps on the back end as to what the commission is going to be. So again, be very knowledgeable. Make sure you understand. I think agents, you need to make sure you spend some time on the buyer's brokerage agreement so everybody understands how each party is going to get paid. I hope this was helpful for you. I know you probably have questions. Please put it in the comments. I'm also going to link this video, how your agent gets paid, because this is traditionally how it happens. However, there's going to be some changes likely coming up in this year and the years ahead. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, again, please put them in the comments. Please like and subscribe for new videos every week.